with a look at the S&P and the S&P 500 weekly and the dollar end of day chart above on the weekly. The vertical lines are QE, QE1, QE2, now QE3. Okay, so this line here was the start of QE1, the white line QE2, and of course the previous week QE3. Okay, we can see that during that period, in March 2009, that we had this nice rally. Commensurately, in 2009, the dollar dipped and then rallied into the ending of QE1. When QE2 started, and when QE1 was increased because the economy wasn't robust enough, we had a resumption of that trend lower on the dollar. Then QE2 started. Okay, we rallied up somewhat and then we dropped off again. Operation Twist, this is the red line. We rallied pretty much during that period into July, August before we started to roll over. Some people speculate that the Fed was already printing during this period of time where we dropped off on the dollar. I don't know for sure, but that's what I've read. We can see our EMAs on the dollar rolling over. They have been for some time. We've got the 10 period here, the yellow, passing through the 20 period now. And the 200 and the 50 are flattening out and have peaked. Appears to be rolling over. I'm looking for the dollar to move lower into 2013. We can see a large shoulder here, the head, and a possibility of another move up, create another shoulder, and then a further move down on the dollar into 2013. That's what I'm anticipating. Doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. Depending on whether you are in the middle or if you're to the left or to the right in your political views, you may formulate a different opinion. But this is what I'm seeing in the dollar right now on a weekly basis. I can see a shoulder here ahead and a possibility of another shoulder and a move lower down to these lows, the 73 level that we put in back in 2011. Why I'm expecting lower? Well, QE has the effect of weakening the dollar by printing excess amounts of same. We have enough out there already, so the Fed's anticipating are going to print more. So I'm anticipating what happened in QE1 and QE2 to happen going forward. If we look at the daily chart of the dollar end of day, we can see that we are in somewhat of a bear flag right now. We came down to the 78.51 level, point and figure level. We rallied up somewhat. We came up to the 79.75 area, and we're hesitating. You can see these candles here where the dollar bears had created some progress on the dollar. So I'm expecting this to break to the downside and eventually take out this level down here at 78.51. The level below that will be 77.52, 76.20. You see the horizontals here, 75.69, 74.97, 74.10, and then eventually 73.46. Those are levels I'm looking at on the daily. Doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. It's what I'm anticipating. With 43 days left to the elections, it's anybody's guess whose candidate is going to win. This isn't a political-minded discussion. It's just pointing out that the markets are likely to see some surprises going into the weeks ahead. Now, you can also read this commentary at Day Trader Bootcamp. Here's the link up top, and I pretty much cover all of these topics going into the week. Okay, so we covered the dollar. We haven't talked about the gold chart where we saw a golden cross at the beginning of September. Okay, that's when the 50 and the 200 period cross. We can see a Kirby level up above. We can see we're at highs, and we can see the SCTR, or scooter, which is a new indicator on stock charts, is up at highs. The SCTR stands for Stock Charts Technical Ranks. You can see how the calculation is figured here, and also what the interpretation and meaning behind the indicator is. Okay, you want to see a rising SCTR on your stocks. Okay, so you can look at that. Here's the link here. So that's gold. I'll be looking at stocks that are setting up or pulling back to an EMA for entries like EGO, Helica Mining, CDE, GG, gold, and so forth. Kindros Gold, and other big cap gold miners like Newmont Mining. Since 1976, gold has only experienced 12 other times where we've had golden cross. The reason why I'm looking for longs is I'm anticipating higher inflation in 2013 as well as a lower dollar. So what is the VIX looking like? Well, during this peak right here, we can see that bigger funds and a lot of investors were looking for protection, so they ran the VIX up. We were having issues over in Europe, and with expiration last week, we can see that we've fallen back down to the lows of the VIX. But I'm anticipating this to move back up again as these hedge funds start to hedge their longs again going into the elections, and we'll see this gradually move higher on the VIX. I'll be looking into the best performing industries for setups. I won't be looking into the worst performing 10. We've already been trading in the home construction index. Some of the stocks there: Pulte Home, KBH, LEN, DHI, and Toll Brothers all looked very nice, okay, for the last few weeks, and we made some nice profits there. Looking for platinum precious metals, mobile telecommunications, heavy construction index. These are some of the ones I'll be focusing in on. In addition to a couple of shorts, I have Delta Airlines and UAL. So I'm not surprised to see this at the top of the list of the 10 worst performing industries. So this is where I'll be looking. In addition to that, we can look at during the 6 months after the QE announcement, the sectors that tend to do better. In the past, QE1, QE2, we can see metals and mining, retail, materials, energy, and home builders at the top of the list, and there's gold too. So over on StockTwits, I'm a member over there, so people can share my charts. Some of the ones that we looked at, GOAT was in this last week, mentioned PCP. I also took this trade. I took a spread, and we can see that same thing that GTO was focusing in on was the inverted head and shoulders. There's a ascending pattern where you note that we are moving above the Kumo, and that we had some decent volume last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we can see that our scooter index is starting to move higher. So this is looking pretty good going into note the Kirby up here. Okay, at the 167.50 or so area. Some other things I'm watching are XLF. Note the nice flag we put in here. We pulled back to a breakout level. We have a Kirby up here, and we're sitting right on Tickensen. ISRG, I mentioned this stock as well this weekend. Similar to PCP, where we had this inverted head and shoulders and a descending pattern. We're about to break out of Kumo this week, and note that our scooter index is moving higher. We have some levels here to conquer on the way up, but this is a really strong stock, and once it gets some momentum, you can see it can move from here from 481 up to 520, 519 very quickly. Ford, we can see that we had an inverted head and shoulders here. Scooter is just starting to gradually move up. We had a really nice move end of August into September. We traded this, and we have this neckline to deal with now. We broke out of Kumo 2 weeks ago, and we have this level up here, Kirby, at 1080 or so. Once we get above that, we have some free air up to this level up here at 1225. So keep an eye on Ford. This is a nice trader. Trade options around too. Tyco, something of a boring stock for some people to trade, but when this thing gets moving, it can really cruise. Okay, we had lows here at 50.78. We ran up to $58 within 2 weeks. We have our scooter index had moved lower, and now is turning to turn as we bounce right off of the Kumo. and nice volume last week. Big Pharma, there's a number of stocks out there, PFE, Merck, and so forth, that are looking good. Celgene, I noticed that Stephen Place had mentioned Celgene this weekend. The thing about BMY, there's like a 3.8% dividend on this one. So it's a nice IRA play, and we're getting this at a discount because we did drop lower into August. We're looking like we're going to fill this gap. We have some levels to deal with the Kirby's here, but Chico is above price, and we're just about ready to break above Kumo going into the week. Now, looking at the ES very quickly, we can see that we have this nice uptrend that we're still in. We broke above, and now we're moving sideways. I'm presently thinking that we're going to move, the 20 period is going to cruise up here, and we're going to move sideways for the next week or so. I'm going to flag something like that. Here's our fibs. I'll see us coming down to this level here. Looking at this last move higher here, we can see the 127 extensions up here near the 1500 level, and that we almost came down and touched the 382. Okay, if we pull this down to this level here, where we broke higher on QE3 announcement, moved higher, moved sideways, we can see the 382 is a little bit lower. So we'll just leave this at this high. I have my son sitting next to me. He's watching a turtle tail. Want some water? Okay, so that's the daily on the ES. The crude chart, we had quite a down week this past week, forming a bear flag. I'm looking at some Fibonacci levels. After we've hit this 382 level, watching to see what this doji does this week. If we move lower down to the 50% level, which is very close to this level here, I'd say that we probably have seen a short-term bounce. Okay, so that's the zone I'm looking at right now, the 50% and the 618. No TSI. This is an indicator that Sailor turned me on to. I want to see this move back up and through the zero line to be a buy on the crude. Let's take a look at the weekly. We can already see that we're starting to form somewhat of a hammer, and we've got the 20 period cruising down below price, so could see this rally from here once we get down to the 50% level. Okay, so this is Cousin Vinny coming to you on the 23rd, Sunday. It's now an hour before futures open. Remember to use your stops. Good luck this week, and if you're not already a member, come and check us out at Day Trader Bootcamp, where you can meet some really cool traders. Okay, I hope this helped. We'll talk to you in the room on Monday. Take care.